Hey Retro Warriors, welcome back to the channel where we celebrate the arcade glory days and dig into the games that shaped our childhood. Now, if you grew up in the late 80s and 90s, you know the arcade beat 'em up was king. Walk to the right, punch bad guys, throw them into the screen, pick up a weapon, repeat, simple, but so addictive. From Final Fight to Double Dragon, we've played them all. But here's the catch, not every great beat 'em up got the love it deserved. Some came and went with no sequels, no console ports, and no remasters. Just one shining moment in the arcade spotlight. So today, we're counting down the top 5 arcade beat 'em ups that deserved a sequel. If you love retro gaming, make sure to subscribe, hit that bell, and join our squad because I've got plenty more hidden gems and classics coming your way. Alright, let's slam that coin slot and get started. Number 5 is Denjin Makai, released in 1994. Now this is a game many retro fans might have missed because it never had the same reach as Capcom or Konami titles. But trust me, it was way ahead of its time. Developed by Winkysoft and published by Banpresto, Denjin Makai was a sci-fi beat 'em up with a full roster of futuristic heroes. You didn't just get generic fighters, each character had their own moves, combos, and playstyle. That was rare back then. The combat system was also deeper than most arcade games at the time. You had grapples, air combos, charge attacks, and even team-up moves in co-op. It felt closer to a fighting game in terms of complexity, but still had the side-scrolling chaos of a beat 'em up. It did get a sort of sequel called Guardians in 1995, but it was only in Japan and didn't make it big. Imagine if they had kept pushing this series into the 32-bit era with PlayStation or Saturn ports. This could have been the Streets of Rage rival we never got. Denjin Makai is proof that sometimes the most innovative games get overlooked simply because they didn't have a big name behind them. Number 4.
Here she comes!
Coming in at number 4 is Undercover Cops, released in 1992 by Irem. Now, Irem is best known for shooters like R-Type, but with Undercover Cops, they jumped into the beat 'em up genre and absolutely nailed the atmosphere. The setting is a post-apocalyptic city in the year 2043. Pollution, crime, mutants, you name it, the world has gone downhill fast. You play as one of 3 special agents sent in to clean up the streets. What made Undercover Cops stand out was its gritty style. The backgrounds were detailed, showing ruined buildings, garbage-strewn streets, and industrial wastelands. The enemies weren't just thugs, they looked mutated and desperate, which gave the whole game a darker edge than the typical beat-up street punks formula. Gameplay was classic side-scrolling brawling, but the animations were incredible. You could smash enemies with steel girders, drop-kick mutants into toxic waste, and use heavy machinery as weapons. It was brutal, stylish, and fun. It did get a watered-down Super Famicom port, but it couldn't match the arcade version. A true arcade sequel could have expanded the roster, added more weapons, and gone deeper into that post-apocalyptic world. To this day, retro gamers look at Undercover Cops as a hidden masterpiece that should have gotten at least a trilogy. Number 3.
Hit me!
The wonderfully bizarre Ninja Baseball Batman from 1993, also by Irem. And no, it has nothing to do with DC's Batman. This game is pure 90s arcade weirdness. The story? An evil spirit has stolen pieces of a golden statue, and it's up to 4 baseball-themed ninjas to recover them. Each character had a baseball weapon and their own unique attacks. The enemies? Living baseballs, possessed gloves, evil robots, and even giant sports stadium bosses. The creativity was off the charts, it felt like a Saturday morning cartoon turned into a video game. What really made Ninja Baseball Batman special was its humor and energy. The animations were exaggerated and cartoony, every hit felt snappy, and the co-op gameplay was chaotic fun. Unfortunately, the game didn't see much release outside Japan, and that's probably why it stayed so obscure. But just imagine the possibilities. Sequels could have leaned even harder into the crazy sports meets ninja theme, maybe bringing in other sports arenas or even console crossovers. Instead, we're left with one legendary but forgotten gem. Number 2. At number 2 we've got Violent Storm, a Konami classic from 1993. This one feels like the spiritual successor to Crime Fighters and Vendetta, but it cranked everything up to 11. You could choose from 3 characters, Boris, Wade, and Kyle, as you battled through 7 stages filled with gangs, punks, and over-the-top bosses. What made Violent Storm shine was its fast-paced combat and personality. This wasn't just punching thugs, it had wild animations, silly moves, and tons of environmental interaction. You could smash guitars over enemies, dance fight them, or use big wrestling-style throws. The soundtrack was pure Konami greatness, blending rock and funk that made every fight feel even more energetic. The game had a light-hearted, almost comic book style, which gave it charm. Unfortunately, despite being a solid arcade hit, Konami never followed it up. A sequel could have pushed it into the 32-bit era with deeper mechanics and online co-op. Instead, Violent Storm remains one of those one-and-done classics that fans still love to bring up when talking about the golden age of Konami. Number 1. And finally, our number 1 pick, the legendary Cadillacs and Dinosaurs, released by Capcom in 1993. Based on the comic Cenozoic tales, this beat-em-up had one of the most unique settings ever. Picture a Mad Max-style wasteland where humanity struggles to survive, and dinosaurs have returned to roam the earth. The game lets you pick from 4 characters, Jack, Hannah, Mustafa, and Mess, each with their own fighting style. And yes, you got to fight both human enemies and dinosaurs, sometimes both at once. Dinosaurs could even attack everyone on screen, adding unpredictability to battles. One of the coolest features? Vehicles. Unlike most beat-em-ups, you could hop into Cadillacs and drive through hordes of enemies, mowing them down. Weapons ranged from knives and rifles to grenades, keeping the action intense. The gameplay was peak Capcom, smooth, polished, and addictive. It felt like the natural evolution of Final Fight. And yet, despite its global popularity, there was never a sequel. Licensing rights tied to the comic kept Capcom from bringing it back, and it became a one-time masterpiece. To this day, fans beg for a revival. If any arcade beat-em-up deserves a modern sequel, it's definitely Cadillacs and Dinosaurs. And that's our list of the top 5 arcade beat-em-ups that deserved a sequel. From the futuristic chaos of Denjin Makai, to the gritty streets of Undercover Cops, the wild cartoon action of Ninja Baseball Batman, the hilarious street fights of Violent Storm, and of course the dino-smashing glory of Cadillacs and Dinosaurs, these games prove just how creative the arcade scene really was. The sad part? Most of these never got a second chance. No sequels, no remakes, no big home console ports. But that's what makes them special, they're frozen in time, waiting for retro fans like us to rediscover them. Now I want to hear from you, which of these games have you played, and which one would you love to see revived today? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and let's geek out about it. If you enjoyed this trip back to the arcades, hit that like button, and make sure you subscribe for more retro gaming deep dives every week. Thanks for watching, keep those quarters ready, and I'll see you in the next video.